Hello and welcome back to session 2, where we start to look at the B of the absurd formula. Now the B, as I mentioned before in the previous video, is bypassing the conscious mind. Now remember also as well, we looked at just briefly that a client will present ideas and present themselves in conscious thinking and unconscious or subconscious thinking. We'll refer to as unconscious just for the sake of this program. So the A is attention, and we looked at a couple of brief examples of how we would get attention and how we could regather attention. The B is important. If you imagine that acronym in your head, the B, what I want you to put next to it on your piece of paper is bypass the conscious mind. The conscious mind is what stops trance from occurring. Also next to the B where you've wrote bypass the conscious mind, I also want you to put in brackets that this is where you put your induction. Whether it's a rapid induction, it's a story induction, it's an Ericksonian confusion induction, it doesn't matter what you put here, you just have to recognize where you put it, at what stage you put it. An induction only does one thing, and by bypassing the conscious mind, you'll get this very outcome. By bypassing the conscious mind, by using an induction, you're stopping the conscious mind from interfering, and to use a classical acronym for it, or a classical metaphor for it, is you're lowering the conscious mind enough, and you allow the unconscious mind to present itself. We call this an unconscious moment. So by lowering the conscious mind, you allow natural trance, which exhibits and forms in the unconscious or subconscious mind, to come forward. And this is what an induction does. One of the biggest mistakes I can see as hypnotists learning how to bypass the conscious mind is they spend all their time trying to find the best induction. They spend all their time trying to master the 1 to 5 step induction that's said to induce trance with everybody. Simply realize that inductions only do one thing, regardless of the type of client you have, regardless of the context, regardless whether it's a smoker, weight loss, anxiety. Your induction only does one thing. It bypasses the conscious mind and allows the unconscious mind to present itself. If your client is not going into trance, but you still find you have complete attention, it means that the induction you have used does not suit your clients, which is why I stress heavily to try and find many different ways, but to still achieve the same outcome. It gets very awkward and very difficult if you start applying the same induction to every single client, because every client is different. Every client thinks differently. Every client responds to trance differently. If you find yourself, you are a script reader, and are using the same script from client to client, you best believe it probably won't work for a high percentage of people, because now you're dragging the success of one session into another. You need to start thinking in terms of the total outcome. You need to almost be creating a new style of therapy, a new version of that induction with every single client that you see. Always remember, the induction only does one thing. It bypasses the conscious mind. Now, how you do that is completely up to you. And also to respect your client and how they go into trance. Start thinking, does this induction suit my client? Does my client enjoy me telling stories? Does my client enjoy being shocked into trance? Does my client like to be overly confused using an Ericksonian style induction? Whatever the case may be, you find your preference and then you will start to apply applicably and strategically. The induction only does one thing, and I want to stress this again. It bypasses the conscious mind. It doesn't do anything in regards to therapy. It doesn't do anything in regards to if you prefer to deepen trance. It only does one thing. It stops the conscious mind from interfering and allows the naturalness of the unconscious mind to present this thing we call trance and hypnosis. So when you're ready, let's move on to the next part of the absurd formula, which is the S, which is to stimulate the unconscious mind. See you in the next video.